Welcome to GITEX. You've been part of the event for several years. How has your experience evolved, and what are your thoughts on this year's edition?
Listen, GITEX, we've been talking earlier about how things change over time. GITEX really moved well over time, so being around for a while, I've seen it growing, and GITEX benefit a lot from the crisis around the world, because back then there was CeBIT, if you remember, and CeBIT used to take a lot of attention, which is not anymore. So GITEX continued and picked up, right? The leadership here are very smart leadership for sure, especially during the pandemic time. They knew how to really spin it. Probably I would say is the best country in the world that know how to manage the pandemic, right? And GITEX was one of the major beneficiaries, right? Because if you remember well, they haven't stopped GITEX. They even opened GITEX during pandemic. People had to come with their covered, of course. There were certain rules. So it's a great platform. It's becoming global. It's amazing for us for Commvault. We've been here for a number of years now. In my tenure, when I joined Commvault, this is my 50th GITEX, because I joined on the day into 2021 when GITEX in October, right? So, and you could see how the growth even with the Commvault level, when we started at a smaller booth, it's the same space, but was probably 1/3 the size. And now we're three times bigger with the same space, but managing the booth, right? Today there is almost over 50 people from Commvault in GITEX, out of which around 10 executives flying from the US and Europe. So this just to tell you how much Commvault is committed to the show, and how much the show is important for companies like Commvault, right? For the IT companies.
Next year, GITEX will move to Expo City, Dubai. How do you think this shift will change the dynamics of the show?
I think a lot of people will be happy from a traffic perspective. One of them is myself, because I live around the corner. I think they should have done it a couple of years before, to be honest. The Expo City is a beautiful place, right? So it's really well designed to take the mass of people, right? So I think I can only see it as more positive and bigger and better scale, right? Because you're trying to grow the GITEX within a limitation of boundaries here, right? Because you are in downtown, right? So you don't have the space that you want. I'm sure over there, maybe that will multiply it by 2, and I'm looking forward to it.
When it comes to Commvault, what key advantages or differentiators do you offer to your customers in the region?
Listen, let me give you a little bit overview of Commvault. We've been 28 years in the business, so we're not a startup. We act like a startup, right? Back in 1996, where we've been co-founded, but the company innovations comes from Bell Labs. in the 86 time frame, I think, we've been still with Bell Labs back then, and then we spin off from Bell Labs. We've been very much focused over those years, almost last 3 decades, on how protecting our customer data, right? So we're not new to that field. We are the masters of protecting customer data. And as you know, with the digital transformation, digital evolution, data becomes, of course, the new fuel for any organization, right? And today, irrespective of which industry you are in the FSI, telco, automotive, manufacturing, mining, retail, healthcare, education, defense and security, wherever you are, without data you cannot survive. And of course, with the advancement of AI, made even data more important, because AI cannot run without data, right? So, and what we've done amazingly well is helping those customers, of course, protecting the most critical, I would say, and the crown jewels, right, as we name it. Now, protecting the crown jewels is something evolved over the years, and the last 2 years in particular, we took a shift towards the cyber resilience, right? Now so we've been always in the space of the legacy backup, as used to be known, then moved to data protection, because it's more about again, data compliance, data security, part of the protection. And then the shift towards cyber resilience, the new narrative, gave the company a massive, again, entrance to this market, and well received by partners and, of course, and customers, right? So, and even the Wall Street, if you look at our stock, how moved in the last 2 years, we moved from $60 to almost $200. So that tells you how it's been received. Why? Because customers loved the story, loved the focus of cyber resilience.
How would you define cyber resilience in today's context? And why is it so critical for organizations?
So if I want to put it in the elevated pitch, is basically cyber resilience is how we prepare our customers to be resilient in this digital crime age, right? And to be able to sustain a cyber attack, right? And if, God forbid, they could not, and there has been data breach, we are the people that are going to bring them back to life. So this is the whole focus around cyber resilience. So we make customers more resilient, more prepared, more ready to sustain any cyber attack or detect an early attack. But if God forbids again and they got infiltrated, then we are the people going to bring them back to life. We are the heart surgeons, I like to call ourselves. So, but that's true. That's very true in all senses, because the whole business continuity framework have changed over the years, and we can talk about it in a bit.
From your perspective, what are the biggest challenges CIOs and CISOs currently face in this region?
And this is a very good question, because the life of the CISO and the CIO or CDO is not an easy life anymore. They carry a lot of burden, right? So it's becoming so heavy because they really, in the old days, probably the CFO was the most important figure in any company to survive, to go over the financial crisis or whatever. Nowadays, probably the CIO is the most important guy, right? So, why it is not so easy? Because if you look at the studies, last year the IBM did the global study around ransomware attacks, and you see that the average downtime is 24 days. That means some customer will come back to life in 1 week, and some people will take them 6 to 8 weeks. Now, being a bank, you cannot stay down, not for a day. So when you say a downtime of 24 days, that's really heavy, right? And the average ransomware ticket is around $4.88 million. This is on a global scale, average. Of course, in some territory geographies like the US is 9 million, in some others it's probably 2 to 3 million, right? So customers need to be resilient. Customers need to be ready and prepared and proactive. So cyber resilience is becoming, of course, I would say, the new, if I put it in a nice way, the new way of thinking, right? It's becoming kind of thought leadership for this, at the board level as well, right? So it's not anymore looking at the financials, at your P&L, at your stock. No, you need to look if your data is well protected.
Ransomware remains a major threat. How is the ransomware landscape evolving with the rise of AI and advanced attack techniques?
In the old days, if you go back in time, 50s, 60s, 70s, you need to rob a bank to make money, right? So this is how it used to be. Now you can rob any company, any bank sitting at home, right? So it's becoming business, unfortunately. That's very sad. And with the AI advancement, it's becoming even much easier for them and much swift to attack, right? So, and becomes much harder also for customer to be able to recover from an attack. So ransomware is on the rise because it's becoming business like any other business. The bad actors are always a step ahead of you, right? Because they're using AI in their own way. Customers who are on the catch-up game, right? It's not anymore a question of if, it's a question of when. Everybody is exposed, everybody is subject to an attack. So you need to be prepared. You need to be ready, you need to be proactive. And what do we mean by that? you need to be ready to protect your crown jewels. You need to build a cyber vault or a digital vault. In technology terms, means you need to have an isolated recovery environment, which is almost nearline, offline, nearline, where you have your golden copy stored there on an immutable storage platform with the indelible copy capabilities. Means immutable in the sense nobody can change a bit then because it is locked, and indelible, even an administrator of that customer cannot even delete the data without authorization. Okay? You need to protect your Active Directory because these are the keys to the kingdom. And you need to protect it in a way so you can recover in a scale matter, this forced recovery, right? So it's not just protecting it in a basic format. You have to be able to scale and scale fast for better recovery, right? Faster recovery. So this is the ready, which is probably the easy piece, right? To be prepared, you need to have a way to detect an early attack. So we have the solution, which is advanced deception, right? We offer it as a service as well that can help customers detect an early attack. Basically, what does it mean? You simulate an environment that looks like real. 100 virtual machines, 5 routers, 10 scanners, etc., right? That look like real. So if the attacker happened to fall on this simulated environment, then you know you are under attack. And then you take the right decision what you want to do. You want to take them out, you want to see where they're coming from, you want to run forensic, etc., right? You need also to be prepared on a clean room recovery, what we call a clean room recovery as a service. That means you're able to set in place or to mushroom very quickly an isolated recovery environment, because God forbid if you're under attack, your environment is compromised. Now you have that digital vault where your golden copy is there. You need to take it out to start redeployment. So you want to test it first. You cannot test it or redeploy it on an existing environment because you are compromised. You cannot wait to purchase a new infrastructure because it's going to take you forever. So what you going to do then? You need to have, so what we did as Commvault 2 years ago, we democratized the whole concept of isolated recovery environment by offering customer clean room recovery, right? And we give it as a service. So we get that clean room recovery with our hyperscalers, in particular Asia. So the customer start deploying his golden copy to test it to make sure that it is ready to be widely deployed. Now we went one step beyond that. You know, within the NIST framework, they talk about the 3 R's, right? The risks, the readiness, and the recovery. We came with the 4th R, which is the rebuild. And what we mean by rebuild your application stack. Because once you have redeployed your golden copy on that clean room environment, now what about the application stack? It's going to take you weeks to be able to come back to know how the consistency between the application, the DNS, etc., etc. We could do it, we can cut down those weeks to 1 hour, right, with our cloud rewind. So this is again the piece about the be prepared, right? So, and you need to be proactive. And the whole proactive is the shift that we did it last year, switching from business continuity to continuous business. And what we mean by that, business continuity framework and business continuity planning do not fit anymore the cyber environment, right? Because this is meant to be to recover from a passive event, from a natural disaster, a flooding, a fireworks, an earthquake, whatever. That's why customers that went through this RPO, RTO concept, and which means RPO, how much data I can afford to lose, which is defining my recovery point objective, and RTO, how much time I need to recover, which is defining my recovery time objective. Now, in the area of business continuity, we managed to build a disaster recovery site where the RPO could be even 0 because you lose synchronous, you lose maybe 1 second of the data, and your RTO will be maybe 2 hours, right? to bring back your disaster recovery to be online, right? Under a cyber attack, those terms will not appear anymore. They fall actually. That doesn't work. Why? Because when you're on cyber attack, you have something called survival time of objective and mean time to recovery, to clear recovery, right? Because as we said earlier, it takes you 24 days on average. So it's not anymore, I wish it is seconds or days of data loss. It's going to be like much longer.
What are the key products or new features you're showcasing at GITEX this year? And why are they particularly important for your customers?
Part of our campaigning here around the shift is really to create awareness. And one of this, we have the Minutes to Meltdown event and cyber range recovery. It helps to really create awareness towards how important to be prepared, to be ready, and to be proactive, right? So, and it's basically what we bring customers, tabletop exercise. You have a CIO, CISO, chief legal, chief marketing, etc. They're all there, and we show them an attack of a real company actually, but we don't put the name, and how did it happen. And the whole exercise is to create awareness whether are we going to pay a ransom or no, we're not going to pay a ransom because we're ready to come back to life, right? So one aspect is of course the awareness, and the big part of this awareness is really to build a digital vault and have a clean room recovery environment. And what we are exhibiting here, as you can see under us here, the whole concept of clean room, right? So because you need to be ready for that clean room in case of the mishap to be able to recover, right? Now, new stuff we have Cloud Rewind, as I said, we're rebuilding your application stack, we're also showing it. And we're showing as well our latest acquisition, Satori, around AI again and security of AI, right? And how can you secure your LLMs and make it more integrated and protected as well. This has also come part of the exhibition.